Who? Betty. Oh, thanks, Betty.
Okay. Welcome back.
Welcome back, you too.
Just get all set up here. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Let it go. Please continue to breathe in a nice, deep, easy way as we remember that we are not human beings, we are spirit beings. This is not a physical world in which we live. We live in a vibratory, reflective universe. That everything that happens is a part of us and we of it. That everything is God or spirit. And so we move away from the world of effect, back to that which is always true. That God is all there is, that is what we are, and that our lives are perfect in every way. So we claim and affirm for ourselves, right here and right now, that we are rich, that we are great, that our lives are reflecting in vibrant health, abundant prosperity, loving relationships, and joy-filled success. That life is a gift, and we take it enthusiastically. We accept all that life has. And then we let it go, knowing that we are the ones that are in charge of our lives and that we have what it takes to create the life of our dreams. And with great gratitude, we simply know that this is the truth of who we are. As together we say,
and so it is.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want you to know that this is the cover of Newsweek magazine that will be released tomorrow.
What does it say? What does it say?
Spiritual living.
Oh, okay.
Spiritual Living
Can't see that far.
Newsweek. There's an article in there on Centers for Spiritual Living that, honest to God, is just a giant ad. It says we are the best known spiritual education organization in the country. It quotes John 3 times.
Whoa.
And so I just think this is fantastic. This is Newsweek magazine tomorrow morning, and it says Centers for Spiritual Living, John Waterhouse, Centers for Spiritual Living, John Waterhouse, Centers for Spiritual Living, John Waterhouse. I'm thinking I need to contact Devon and say, I don't know if there's anything that we need to do to get ready to have, you know, like 10,000 hits on our website this week. But if there is, we should do it.
Wow.
We have open doors. Is there anyone that did not get the printout? You can have how to get what you want.
What? No, what are you talking about? She put it on the counter up
We
there.
had them out there for, I've got 2 more.
Oh, snap.
That's all I have. Pardon me?
Can we get another one from there?
Yes, you can. I can't come up with one right now. But does anyone have one that we can share over here? Sherry, Kwan, and Kristen and April are all without one. Yes, that's what we're working with tonight. There have been 40 of them went out this week, so I was kind of thinking everybody got theirs, but perhaps that's not the case. At any rate, it's Wallace Wattles, and it's pretty simple. What?
Now, we have one for the.
Probably get what you want.
It's okay, it's okay.
So you don't want that one? You have another
Well, they
one?
have, no, but they don't have one either.
Well, that's okay. We'll be all right.
Well, sorry now.
We can
We're
wing it.
all
I wing it.
When
I
I
said, okay.
Mine's at home on my desk, I didn't know what to need in class.
I will try to be more clear next time when I say that the booklet for the next class is going to be out on the Welcome Center. Obviously that wasn't good enough, so I'll try to be more clear next time. I said that 2 weeks ago, and then we had them out that Sunday all week yesterday, and I printed another 10 for class tonight.
Surprise!
my darlings, I want to fess up and let you know I know exactly what I did. That I was in a convention and I did really well. I forgave fast and spent a lot of time in my room. John bought me a massage, had someone come over to the hotel.
Wow.
I took a couple of long hot baths. I missed more events than I ever have. And the ones that I went to, I really connected with people, had my heart open, appreciated them, went off the minister council, went off the minister practitioner licensing and credentialing group that I've been on, and felt very complete as I left the hotel and went to the airport on Friday morning. Got into an airplane and was not as mindful as I should have been. When the person in the row in front of me and across the aisle was coughing nonstop. And I thought, well, that's just rude. You know, even in elementary school, they teach you to cover your cough with your arm. He's just spewing all over the plane. But that was nothing compared to the guy next to me who was so sick that he was resting his head on the seat in front of him, and fluid was just dropping from his body onto the floor.
Oh my God.
I know. So I went ahead and got very insulted and had some really big disparaging remarks, went into the bathroom, washed my hands, and came out with paper towels, and I'm handing him paper towels, and then we all had to get up, and we all got in. He took my seatbelt and hooked it onto his body, and I'm like, no, that's not your seatbelt. So with all of his snot, he unhooks his seatbelt and gives it back to me. So I go into the bathroom and wash my hands and come out with all of these paper towels that I'm trying to wrap the seatbelt in and clip it back on me. But by then, I was just pissed. And probably it had to do with, maybe I forgave fast, but not quite as deeply as I could have during the week, because I had some residual upset that was there for the creation. So I'm going on, you know, I'm not sick, I'm not going to get sick, there's no way that I'm going to get sick. I have a very strong immune system. I'm doing the Simonton process of the white blood cells gobbling up whatever germs may be in there. I don't believe in germs. I'm not going to get sick. Do you remember about not affirming a negative? Yeah. So I am on my way up and out of it all. However, I'm choosing to sit for tonight's class, which those of you who know me is a rarity. But it's good to know how we create things so that we can create something different. And it seems like whenever I get out of control of my emotions, I pay. I'm either paying in cash, I'm paying in time, I'm paying in health, I'm paying somehow. It's very expensive not to be happy and loving and joy-filled. It's expensive. So whenever I find myself not in control of my state, I find myself with a bill from the universe. So just to share with you that we're all in this together. One thing that I love about this center is that neither John nor I try to pretend that we're more advanced than other people or that we're higher than other people. We're not. We're all just finding our way and doing what is ours to do. Still learning. We're all still learning. If we weren't learning, we would transition out of this plane. I did take a video. Did you have your hand up? Yes.
I don't know, I think John was manifesting really hard when he was reading Newsweek. Just saying.
You think he was manifesting
Well,
really?
he's on it's on the cover, right?
Yes, but he doesn't read Newsweek.
Thoughts?
I think it's great. You know, I don't know. Pardon me?
Did the interview?
Some reporter from Newsweek. I don't know. You have to open it up.
A long time ago, or?
No, it was just a couple of months ago. They called CSL in Denver to talk about spirituality, and then they went into spiritual education. and then they put together a three-person, like a little panel of John and Bob Dean, who's the head of education, and I think it was Nicole Burgess, who's the head of something, and the interviewer called, and John, I remember he was upstairs, he's on the phone with Newsweek. It was just amazing, you know, these things just fall into your lap. You don't have to go out and beat the doors for them. They find you when it's a right fit. And he said he had a wonderful time talking to Newsweek, and he had no idea what was going to come of it. And there's a big article in Newsweek magazine about spiritual education and about, and one of the things that they said was that this is good for people who want to, you know, grow in their lives, or people who want to get the edge on their career. Yeah, that's a great phrase. Yes, yes. So that was just a couple of months ago, and now here it is on the newsstand. Great.
We'll all have to go and buy coffee. Yeah. And then have him sign it.
Nice. Yeah. So before we move on to how to get what you want, which is one of my favorite little booklets, and it's fast and easy and very classic Wallace Wattles. Is there anything that you want to wrap up about the last two books that we've done, The Science of Getting Rich and The Science of Being Great with Wallace Wattles? Rick.
There was something I didn't mind hearing you talk a little bit about. Wattles, several times he mentioned, especially in that second book, about holding a thought. And I know I've read in Ernest's writing several times, he
Says we don't hold thoughts.
Yeah, so you let him go.
Yeah.
And it's just is there a different ideology that Wattles had about it?
It is. It's just, Wallace Wattles really didn't have anybody to study. He kind of made all of this up on his own, so the very fact that he had gotten to hold a thought, for me, was very impressive. Ernest spent his lifetime studying a lot of Hinduism, a lot of the Greek. You know, in Science of Mind, we get the value of the individual from the Greeks. We get the oneness connection from Eastern theology, and a lot of Christianity involved in that. He spent a lifetime studying people, and he says that nothing in Science of Mind is new. It's a synthesis. But Wallace Wattles was back there kind of on his own, saying there's got to be a better way to live. And so he came up with holding a thought, holding it in your mind, creating a vision, a very clear vision of what you want. But Ernest would later say, no, you don't hold a thought, you let it go. This is a flow, it's an energy movement, nothing stands still. So you can't hold it. If someone says, hold a good thought for me. No. You can know, which is a movement, that all is well, but we're not going to try to stop the creative flow of the universe with holding on to anything. It's just language. I give these old-timers a lot of flexibility for the words that they use.
Yeah, different terminology.
Different terminology, right. Anyone else? Next week, we are starting the Charles Haanel, the Master Key System class, and it is available on our website for a free download. You can put it in your iPad, your phone, you can print it out if you want, or there are books on the back table. If you're paying cash, it's just a straight $10, and you can have that book in your hand to hold. I'm of the age that I want the book in my hand to hold, so I want to tear up the edges and write all over it and things like that. Other people think I'm crazy, and that when you can pull out your phone or something and just scroll through it, or your computer, you can search, you know, why in the world would you want to be limited to paper? So we aim to please all and offer you all of those options. How to get what you want. In chapter 1, he says the cause of success is always in the person who succeeds. Now remember back to the Science of Getting Rich. He said that getting rich is not determined on where you live. Otherwise, everyone who lives in your town would get rich. Getting rich is not determined by what your education is. Otherwise, everyone with that certain education would get rich. Getting rich, and he went down a litany of things that it's not, and he's starting with the same thing here. He says, you will see that this must be true because if the cause of success were in nature outside of the person, then all persons similarly situated would get rich. And that's not true. People come out of college and they don't all have the same career track. People live in certain parts of the country and they don't all have the same level of success. If the cause of success is not on the outside, then where is it? It's got to be inside of you. It's got to be inside of you, and that's been his premise all along, is that there is something in the Science of Being Great. He said there's a principle of power within you. There's something within you that allows you to have your life be the way you want it. And if you keep looking on the outside, well, the economy's determining whether or not I succeed. The political arena is determining whether or not I succeed. My age is determining whether or not I succeed. My gender is determining whether or not I succeed. My education is determining whether or not I succeed. If you're looking on the outside, then you're at effect instead of cause. And he's talking about the cause of success. So how to get what you want, the very first thing is to understand that what you want is an effect instead of a cause. And that it doesn't matter what you determine success to be, it is still an effect. Like one person can determine success to be an extra $10 to make their rent. Another person could determine success to be a yacht that they want to have. It doesn't matter what you're calling success, that the idea of achieving success is all the same. Because the idea of accomplishing that which you want is not contingent upon what you want. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Whether you want a penny or $1 million, it doesn't matter. Whether you get it or not is what matters. So to the person who wants a penny, getting that is success. The person that wants $1 million, getting that is success. And what he's talking about is the process of achieving the success that you want. And the first thing he says is stop looking outside of yourself. Stop trying to get the key. I remember being in ministry and I would go to the people with the really big churches and go, what's the key? And really what I was saying was, what's the trick? You know, what's the key? Because I was in Miami, so I should have had a lot of people. What's the key? What's the trick? There is no trick on the outside. There is no key on the outside. The only key is on the inside of you. And he says the first thing to know is that it's inside of you. And to stop looking on the outside and to start looking within you to get the cause of success. He says it's not in your environment. Because if it were, all persons within a given radius would be successful, and success would be wholly a matter of neighborhood. And I know that some people try to do that. Well, we're going to build a neighborhood of people that are successful, but even that doesn't work. People come and go. Just because you have a fancy neighborhood doesn't mean that everybody in there is successful. It's not on the outside. It doesn't matter what your history is. It doesn't matter what your education is. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what your experience is. There is something within you that will determine whether or not you get what you want in life. He says it is mathematically certain that you can succeed if you will find out the cause of success and develop it to sufficient strength. And I like Wallace because he's always giving it back to us. It's not sit on the couch and chant the own. You know, he's always saying you've got to overfill your space. You've got to give out more in use value than you do in cash value. You've got to lift everyone else up around you. You've got to do stuff to experience success in your life. So he's saying that if you develop sufficient strength and apply it properly to your work, you cannot fail to produce a given effect. He says if there is failure anywhere of any kind, it is because the cause was either not sufficient or was not properly applied. So if you want something, and you realize that it's inside of you, and you develop these techniques that he's going to go on to of getting success in your life, excuse me, and it doesn't work, it's because you didn't do it right. It's not that there's some vengeful God out there that's just messing with you. It's that your cause was not sufficient to the effect that you want to have. That when the cause equals what you want, then the effect must show up. And you can't blame it on anybody else. You can't blame it on circumstances or conditions or anything outside. It is wholly an inside job.
I have a question.
Yes, Morgan.
So not blaming the outside, but what if you blame yourself? Like, how do you
What if you what?
blame yourself? Like,
Don't.
I know, so you think a new thought, you just, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna try
Right.
something new.
Right, right. And he talks about moving from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind, that if on a conscious level you're saying, I can do this, I can have this, I can be this, but subconsciously believe that you can't, that your work is to shift that subconscious belief. And he said he gives some affirmations and tells you to do them every day for a month, and then check yourself out again. Because if you have a belief that says, no, it's an outside condition, you're too old, you're the wrong gender, you don't have the backing, you don't have the education, you don't have the opportunity, so it's not going to happen, then if you have that as a subconscious belief, you can, spout your affirmations all you want and nothing's going to shift. And I would throw a little bit of psychology in there to look at yourself and see what is it that you think you need to be punished for. And then let yourself off the hook. Whatever it is you did the only thing that you could do. If you could do anything differently, you would have. And since you didn't, you couldn't. It was impossible for you to do anything different than what you did. And I don't care if you kill somebody or pick up the dollar bill that you found on the ground. I don't care what it was. If you could have done it differently, you would have. And since you didn't, you couldn't. So let that be okay. Sever the ties to the past, forgive yourself, and move on. I'm amazed at how much we can sabotage ourselves and turn against ourselves and treat ourselves in such a way that we would never put up with from someone else. But because it's going on in the silence of our own head, we think it's okay. Or somehow, even though we've put a lot of energy into something, at the very last minute, we pull it out from in front of us, as if we're some kind of sadistic person, that sets somebody up and then takes the win away at the last second. But we do that to ourselves. So if you need to, really look at what it is you think is so terrible about yourself. Bring it out to the light of day, realize that it's okay, and let it go, so that you can move on without these shackles dragging you down. Does that make sense? Am I in the camera? Thank you, Judith.
No, you're good. I know, it's just Jen.
I had a woman who killed someone. I don't say that lightly. A woman who sat in these classes, shot someone, went to trial, and the jury acquitted her. Ended up being in self-defense, but just cold-hearted shot someone dead because they were beating her in Buncombe County and got off. And she had a lot of guilt about that. She said, if I was in the same position, I would do it again because I truly believed that person would kill me. And the jury believed her. But that was a lot to carry around. And yet, through this idea that God is all there is, that life is eternal, that we are all spiritual beings on a spiritual path, she was able to let that go. Excuse me. So if she could let it go, have a little perspective. What did you do that was so terrible? You were a rotten kid. Great. You left that person, and then that other person, and then that other person. Great. You did what you needed to do to move forward. You went bankrupt. Great. I get people in my office and they're, oh, I'm going bankrupt. I'm going great. Bankruptcy is legal forgiveness. We need more forgiveness in the world. There's nothing inherently wrong. This is not a teaching of morality. It's a teaching of ethics. It's a teaching of cause and effect. But there's nothing that you have ever done that was bad or awful. So let it go. Allow that subconscious mind of yours to be open to the good that you're creating in your life. And if for any reason you flip into this judgment or anger or ridicule or whatever, pull it out into the light of day. What is it that's so awful about me that I just can't seem to stand myself right now? And then look at it, vet it.
You know, I've been listening, and it's like, I mean, I have one issue that I've been struggling with for quite a while, and it's about finding a job. And, you know, I go through all the right motions, and I have all the qualifications and all sorts of kind of stuff, and it's like, I've had treatments done on it, trying to help me sort things out. I'll go through the visions of, you know, I see myself in this job, I see myself doing this, I see the window that my office is looking, you know, I do everything, and I don't get the job. So I'm trying to look inside saying, how am I blocking this? What's keeping me from finding this ideal job? And I can't figure it out. I don't feel negative toward myself. I don't feel guilty. I know that I'm good at what I do, and I just can't figure it out. I'm lost.
Do you want to work?
Yes.
Do you? Go work.
I've been trying for 5 months.
Don't go for the perfect job. Just go get a job. Break the energy of that. Just go get a job somewhere, doing something. Do something. What Wallace says in this,
Do something you're good at.
he says, you've got to put more life into where you are so that it will morph in an evolutionary expansion into something greater. So right now, you're not working. You don't have a job. I would recommend you go get a job, any job, doesn't matter, and do something and put your heart and soul into it. Put that energy, get that energy moving and keep applying for other jobs. But in the meantime, in the universe, you're working and you're putting your energy out there and you're putting more life into your position so that you can't stay in that position. It must evolve into something greater. That's what I would do. If you want to work, if you don't want to work, just treat for the money and don't work.
Yes.
Well, I don't say that like that. Otherwise, just go get a job. Go do something somewhere and have fun with it and really give it your all. You can't have a job where you're saying, well, I'm only making, what is minimum wage these days? I'm only making $7.25 an hour, so I'm not going to give my all. You can't do that and expect to get anything better. You can't make $100,000 a year and say, I'm not making $1 million, so I'm not going to give my all. You got to give your all to it. Whatever it is, go volunteer somewhere. Just give your all to it. And if you're holding back, then you're not going to create something greater. And it's the creation of something greater that you're using whatever it is you're doing now, volunteering, working for minimum wage, whatever it is, as a springboard. Thank you. I'm on drugs, I have to tell you that. I'm on Dayquil, so I don't do any kind of drugs, and thank you for loving me through this. But it's a springboard to get to a different creation. It's like, you can't expect to have a decent marriage and be mad at the person you're in a relationship with. It's not going to happen. You're going to erode that, the very foundation of that relationship, every day until there's nothing left. Or you can take you can take a relationship that is really on the rocks and start building it back up again, and it will morph into this wonderful relationship. And you go, where was that person 10 years ago? Well, you killed that person 10 years ago, and you had to bring them back to life. So, if you want a good relationship, you've got to put more love and more appreciation and more action into that. If you want a job, you've got to overfill your place with the job that you're in and watch it morph. Didn't you have that happen, Cheryl? You morphed into a brand new job. Yes. But why would someone at a higher level of a job want to hire someone who is only giving a minimum wage or a lower value energy out? It'll be a miss. So no matter where you are, you've got to raise what you're doing up to the level where you're going to be a vibrational match for that which you want, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's, you know, if every time you get into your car you tell it what a poorly designed and ineffective means of transportation it is. I am really good at shifting my language. If you tell it that, then that's what it will be to you. And if you say, this is a wonderful vehicle, you know, I'm going to get another 100,000 miles out of it, I'm going to wash it and clean it up and change the oil in it and make sure everything's going great, then it will run for you. In my time early on in Science of Mind, I had such clunkers, and they ran only through consciousness. There was no reason that they should have been starting.
Pardon me? Love held them together.
It did. I would get into my car and say, okay, I know that this vehicle runs in harmony with the mechanical laws of the universe. It takes me exactly where I want to go in a timely fashion. I don't want any breakdowns on the side of the road. In a timely fashion, and I arrive happy and joy-filled. Then I would turn the key. And when I didn't do that, the thing wouldn't start. It was fascinating to me. So what you want to do is you want to put yourself where you want to go. Most people say, well, I'll give it when I get it. And that's backwards. They have to give it to get it. They can't wait for someone to hire them or fall in love with them or give them this wonderful house or whatever. They can't wait for that before they start acting like someone who has that. It's like the person that that wants a big yard and they come over here and join the garden group and they tend it and they plant flowers and they nurture it. Before you know it, they've got their own yard so that they can have that. And the person that wants to be in a great relationship, sometimes they'll come up to my office and say, well, treat for me to be in a relationship because nobody likes me. Well, how are you going to be in a good relationship? You know, you start talking about their flaws, and you've got to be this wonderful person. If you want to have a friend, you've got to be a friend. You've got to give that out. If you want love, you've got to go around, just love everybody. Everybody, no holes barred. If you want a great job, you've got to wash the dishes on Sunday as if you were running a multi-million-dollar company. You know, it's that important and it's that great. And then before you know it, the outside will reflect that back to you. But to sit down and to begrudge what you give out or to say, well, I'm just going to take this home with me because they don't pay me enough money and I really deserve that. So I'll take a ream of paper or I'll take some pins home or something like that. I'll just take that because they're not giving me enough. Boy, that's a recipe for disaster in life. Sometimes we have people who have a little bit of a 5-finger discount in the kitchen. And we notice because we keep general inventory of stock. And all of a sudden, like all the cake mixes, 20 cake mixes will be gone. Jeez, haven't you heard about karma?
Oh, really?
What in the world are you doing here? You're going to have that come back multiplied abundantly. Eric, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question. I've been giving out some free advice to adventure guiding company, and so I'm confused because I could just keep giving and giving and giving. And today I kind of drew a boundary. I was like, I'm acting in a role of creative consultant, but I'm not being paid for it. And I want like that work and that job, but I'm confused because I could just keep giving and giving and giving and giving and giving for free.
Or you could keep giving and giving and giving and get paid for it.
How can I do that?
Ask to get paid for it.
Oh, that's what I said.
I want to support you, I really like you, I know stuff that you need to know, but without the threat. The threat is I'm not going to give any more to you. No, I want to give this to you.
Right.
And it's time for you to start paying me for it.
Right. because ideas are valuable,
Right.
right, that's what I
So just
said.
ask for what you want when you want it.
Okay,
But do it in a way that you're in alignment with them, you're not polarizing yourself against them. I've given you all of this and you haven't given me any money, so now I'm not gonna give you any more. That's not
Right.
gonna create what you want.
no,
I really like you, I wanna keep this relationship, I
Yeah.
have great ideas, they're very valuable to your company.
Right.
And now it's time for you guys to start paying me for it, cause
Right.
we're in this together,
right,
that kind of thing.
yeah,
Two different worlds.
Right.
One will get you money and you'll be able to do what you wanna do, and the other one won't.
Yep.
Do you understand the difference?
mm. No,
Okay, one is that I've been taken advantage of. I've given and given and given and I'm not getting back respect or value of like kind,
Mhm.
and so I'm mad.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna stop giving and I'm gonna punish you and threaten you that if you don't start giving me money, I'm not gonna give you anything and you're gonna be hurt. That's not a good way to do business, period,
Mhm.
much less live. The other way is, I really like you, I wanna keep doing this.
Right.
I see great things happening in the future, and it's time for you to start paying me. That's
Right.
all, it's just time. Time for you to start paying me so that we can keep working together and have this wonderful thing emerge together.
Right, got it.
Yeah. And consider how that works with people. You know, it's okay to ask for what you want. It's okay for you to get what you want, but to get it in anger is only gonna create anger, and where does anger come from but a belief in limitation anyway? So you believe that there's not enough and that you're not getting yours and all of that. So just ask for what you want and keep overfilling your space. It doesn't mean that you turn into a doormat. What was that transactional analysis, dumb door, a doormat? You don't want to become dumb door, a doormat, just lay down and let people walk on you. But you also don't want to hold back. Anytime you hold back, you're stopping the creative flow. So what you want to do is keep that flow moving by putting more life in every moment so that it must morph into something greater. So you put more life, excuse me, you put more life in looking at yourself in the mirror. Wow, you are an amazing person. I'm just so happy to be me. You put more life when you go into work. I'm so grateful to work with you. I just think this is fantastic what we get to do together. Checking out groceries at Ingles, who cares? What we get to do together, I'm just feeling fantastic about this. And as you put more life into things, it must morph. And he has some kind of funny ideas about evolution, but I get his gist. He says that evolution takes something, you have an organism and it has more life than it can hold in its current state, and so it must morph into something greater, you know, like going from breathing water to breathing air, going from all fours to twos. He talks about the evolution of the squirrel to the bird, which I don't think has any scientific validity to it. But it's an interesting concept.
Oh my God.
He says that the squirrel jumped and jumped and jumped and jumped and was such a good jumper that it grew webs between its legs and its body, and we had the flying squirrel. And then that flying squirrel jumped and flew and jumped and glided, and then we had the bat. And then the bat was flying around, we had the bird, you know? And so that's the spirit of it is that if you do something so well, it's got to have a different form. It's like we thought that the 4-minute mile was impossible to break until somebody did. And was that Jesse Owens that broke the 4-minute mile? No, somebody's name started with a G, I forget. But once that was broken, once there was more speed in that mile than 4 minutes worth, then everybody got to reap the harvest of that. And he's saying that evolutionary, because we live in an evolving consciousness of a universe, that Everything must be expanding and growing and evolving into greater levels of life. So when you pump as much life and joy and excitement and wonderment in your life as you can, it's going to have to morph. If every time you open up your checkbook, you're talking about how broke you are and how you don't have anything, it's going to shrink. But if every time you open it up, you go, this is fantastic, look at all that we have, look at what I get to do. We have heat and air conditioning and lights, and life is just so fantastic and amazing, and I'm so grateful. Then it will morph into something greater. Yes, Michaela?
Isn't that evolution about, like, religion mostly?
Isn't evolution about religion?
Well, how people believe it or don't?
There's a fight in fundamental religions about the idea of scientific evolution and the Bible interpretation, as if God couldn't handle evolution. The Pope, the new Pope, you gotta love him. He's such a strict Catholic, but you gotta love him. He said God needed evolution. Wow.
He created it.
Wow, really? And if you look at quantum physics, none of that's real anyway. We're just creating our reality every nanosecond. And there was no past and there is no future. There's just a constant creation of reality as we know it right here. Yes, Michaela?
And you said before, it's like molecule, light molecule.
Yeah, it's like a particle and a light and a wave, particle and a wave, light and molecule, light and molecule. You're absolutely correct. And every time we go from the molecule to the light, from the particle to the wave, we have an opportunity to recreate physical form in a brand new way. That's exactly my take on it. Whoa. So if you've got an organ that's not right, why? You just continue to recreate it sick. You know, all you have to do is get into that space where you are able to redirect the force of creation itself, and it'll come back in as a perfectly whole something. You can do that with money, you can do that with calling things forth. Have you played with that? You lose things, you call it forth. Or someone loses something and they go, I am never going to find that. Well, okay,
You're right.
You're absolutely correct. Or, it's got to be here somewhere, so I know there's nothing lost in divine mind, including that thing. I know that it's here, I claim it, I call it forth, I accept it, and thanks for it, and so it is. And then it's there. Same thing with everything. Sometimes when I'm looking for something, I prefer to be alone. So there's not that energy of, well, let me run ahead and tell you it's not there. Please don't. Give me a second to find it, you know, to go and then it's there. Interesting.
Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute file.
Roger? I knew there was a G in there somewhere. So then he talks about doing something that's in alignment with what you're good at. Sometimes people think they have to be somebody that someone else wanted them to be. And you find that a lot with people going to college, young people going to college, so that they can be the doctor or the lawyer or the engineer or whatever that their parents want them to be, instead of what they want to be. And what he's saying is, you can be successful doing something that you're not good at, but it will be a lot better if you do something that you're good at and you do something that you like. So if someone wants to be a fishing guide in the Keys, they have a better chance of being successful, whatever that means to them, doing that which they have a passion for, than going off to medical school and being a neurosurgeon that they can't stand. And that's why a lot of people, they go to college and they'll put 10 years in a career and finally they're just saying, I just can't live like this. This is not me, never was me, I gave it my best shot, I'm quitting. And we call it midlife crises, but I think it's more of a wake-up call of how am I going to live the rest of my life. So he's saying find something that you're good at. If you're good at auto mechanics, then be successful fixing cars or building cars or doing something like that. If you are good at music, then Find your success in music. Go along the natural paths that are already inside of you. And I would add to that, for God's sake, do what you like to do. Don't put yourself in a box where you're doing something you don't like to do just because that's the way you think you're going to be safe and make money and be secure. It's not worth it. And you will tap into more creative energy and be more successful, again, whatever that means. It means something different to different people. If you follow your bliss, if you follow your passion to do what you like to do, instead of doing something that you think you should be doing. Okay?
Yep.
You don't have to be a starving artist. Once you learn these spiritual principles, you can be a very well-paid artist and still be an artist. I love those Jonas Gerard paintings in the airport. Every time I come into the Asheville airport, there's another giant canvas of this color and this gorgeousness. It takes my breath away. So beautiful and wonderful. We have some odd race consciousness ideas that say if you do what you like to do, you're not going to make any money at it. And I think that it's time that we shift that to know that we live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. Success is inside of me, and I will be happier creating my success doing what I want to do and doing what I'm good at, instead of trying to be successful doing something that I think I should be doing. Becca.
Just a quick story on that aspect. I know of a man who went on vacation and saw an artist painting on the street. Liked what the artist did. This gentleman took the artist home with him, let him live in his basement until he was able to support himself. That artist's name is Thomas Kincaid.
Wow. Wow, that's great. I've been in Thomas Kincaid galleries in California. Yes.
And I've been in the gentleman's basement.
Oh.
After Mr. Kincaid died.
That's pretty good.
But his life
So-
was quite short. Yes.
So be conscious of any idea that you may have that to be happy, or that to be successful, you're going to have to give up your happiness. As if you can't have your cake and eat it too. What kind of messages may have come to you from your past? Remember, drag it out into the open, look at it, and then ask yourself, is that really true? Because you don't need to keep that. You can change that and realize that you can be happy and successful at the same time. And what Wallace Wattles is saying is that you've got to find your path and then fill it up with life. Really give to it. But again, he says, don't set yourself up to have a million things to do where you do them all poorly. That's a sabotage also. He says, whatever you do, do it well. And do everything that you can do that day, and do it well, and then be done. And start anew the next day. So that if you're, is Monet going to hurry up and finish a painting because it's 6 o'clock at night? No. The people that were really seen for their excellence are going to see that whatever they do, they're going to do up to their standards. And he's saying hold high standards for yourself. We look at people like Steve Jobs, and he worked all the time. And what Wallace Wattles is saying is that's not healthy. You know, it's not healthy to just work non-stop. Your life needs to be in balance. You can put a lot of life into what you're doing, but some of us have to-do lists that are so big that we're never going to catch our breath. We're just never going to catch our breaths. We're never going to be able to complete or win, and then that's that energy that's going out into the creative process that says, I've always got too much to do, I'm never going to get caught up. And so life says, right you are, you're never going to get caught up, you're never going to get done, you're never going to reap the harvest here. You're always going to be planting, and you're going to work yourself to death just to be okay. So we want to look at those race beliefs and shift them. You can be successful, you can have what you want. It comes from within. There's a path within you that you vibrate to, you resonate to. It's your path, it's not anybody else's path. You're not taking it away from anyone, and no one can take it away from you. And when you move forward in that path, you feel uplifted. You know when you're doing something, excuse me, you know when you're doing something that you don't want to do, it just sucks the life right out of you? And when you're doing something that you really want to do, you're lifted, you're inspired, you have more energy coming through you. He's saying do those things. Do those things that have the life move through you, that you can fill up your circumstance with life, with so much life that it has to morph into something else. I think that's a fantastic way to live. I'm not going to comment on your homework. Or the whole concept of homework in the public school system. He says you must be convinced that you can succeed, that is the first requisite to success. That was just chapter 1. And then he talks about the active, oh thank you, I've got coffee. No, that water's not going to help me. Thank you though, I'm very grateful. This is not a water cough. This is a cough that's leaving my sweet lungs. An active power consciousness. He says that is the thing that must be cultivated by anyone who succeeds. An active power consciousness. He says that's when you feel that when you know you can do a thing and you have a path to do it. Now the path may change, but you're not just completely clueless as to what I am going to be a multi-millionaire. What are you going to do? I don't have any idea. He says you got to have some kind of an idea. Have it be something that you resonate with, something that you have passion for, something that will bring life through you, and then you have to believe that you can succeed. You've got to believe that you've got what it takes. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how much money you've got, what opportunity you've got, where you're living. It doesn't matter what your education is. You have a belief that you can succeed. And that is the active power consciousness. He said no one has succeeded without that. It's like Thomas Edison. He had over 2,000 different filaments for a light bulb. I mean, he'd never even dreamed of LED lights, but the thing, try something, it burns up. Try something, it burns up. Try something, I mean, after like 150, one would think he would be discouraged. But he had this belief that he could figure it out. And it wasn't about how much time it was going to take. It was that if he kept at it, he was sure that he could figure this out. And then, I don't know what the final filament was, but he had something that actually glowed. And so now we had the whole beginning of going from gas lights to electric lights. But you've got to find that inside of you, and when you find that inside of you, you stop looking on the outside, you stop asking for everybody's approval, everybody's comment, everybody to support you. You found it within you, and if you're tuned into that, you will be able to ride that all the way to whatever it is you deem to be success. Doesn't that sound like a great way to live?
Yes.
Find this inside of you. And let it guide you, let it direct you, let it lead you. Ride the passion, ride the genius, and forget what anybody else says. Because the alternative is that you do something that sucks the life right out of you, and that you have a miserable life. You know, the idea of success is different for a lot of people. I love to go to the beach, and there are a lot of people who have taken their financial success just so they can get up in the morning and get on one of those surfboards with the paddle and paddle. And that is their outward view of success. I've retired, I have a house on the beach, and I can paddle, or I can go out and fish every morning. And then there are other people who are going, I don't have a job, I don't have any money, I guess I'll go paddle, because that's all I got. It's the same exact activity, but two completely different viewpoints. So you can't gauge success by the action, by the effect that we call success. It's the process that we're going to get there. And he says everybody gets to be successful. Everybody's got that inside of them. Everybody's got something that excites them, that sparks them, that is their genius and their passion. So, and he calls it something that you're good at. You know, he's got very simplistic languaging. What are you good at? Do what you're good at. Do what you like to do. Stop trying to reinvent yourself into somebody that you think would be successful. You are successful if you would just follow that. One of my favorite quotes from Carl Rogers was, "Who you are is good enough if you would only be it openly." Whoever you are is good enough if you would only be it openly. Stop trying to change yourself. Stop trying to hide yourself. Stop trying to be somebody else. And be you, and open up to that idea that there is something within you, a principle of success, a principle of power, an active power consciousness, spirit inside of you, whatever it is you want to call it, and that you can ride that energy in the creative process by giving more into your life and watching it morph into something greater. Troy.
I came across a quote. I can't give it to you, but I'll do the best I can. It dealt with that if you have the courage to be yourself, you will be surprised, or don't be surprised at the person that falls in love with you.
Right. Right.
And you will never find that person
unless you can be yourself. Right.
Right.
It's like we try to be someone that we're not, and then someone falls in love with who we're not, and then we get mad at them because they don't know us.
You get trapped.
And we call it a relationship.
Call it divorce.
We call it a divorce, really.
I have a question.
Yes, Eric.
Like, pertaining to like letting the past go and like the old story, like letting go of the story that's holding me down, or the identity part, like it's the quote for me is to bring forth what's within you, or else if you don't, it'll destroy you. Bring forth what's within you, because if you bring forth what's within you, it'll free you. If you don't, whatever's within you will destroy you.
Jesus said that in the Gospel of Thomas.
Right,
yeah.
So
they took that out of the other Bible.
I think there's a lot of Bibles that aren't, and so what I'm sitting with is like, am I completely letting go of that old person, of that story, and going right from now forward, or do I bring that and use that as power of who I am and what I was, who I am now?
I don't think we can let go of ourselves.
Right.
I think we can let go of our story, our ideas about who we are and other people, but that real sense of us, I don't think we can ever let go of that. I don't think we should.
Like our history.
Well, no, your history is different. Your history is your interpretation of what happened.
Right.
Your story. We can let go of that, but us, I don't think that we should let go of that.
Right.
I mean, unless you just want to get hit on the head and wake up with amnesia, which sometimes I think would be a good idea.
The story can change, though.
The story has to change.
Yeah.
The story has to change from being triangulated and victimized into I am a powerful spiritual being, and look at the things that I chose to experience in life for my growth. For that person didn't do it to me, they did it for me, and I'm grateful for the gift. And here I am today. And any story about our past that has anything other than love is all there is. We are amazingly powerful beings, and all is well is a lie.
Do you have a hard time when you first started out? Like, I'm having a hard time even talking because I want to be careful of what I say, the words I use and stuff. And like, just on the car right here, I was like, I'm like learning a new language and like speak to other human beings. I'm having a really hard time even communicating because I don't want to say the wrong thing, or I don't want to shoot my, say things like that.
Sure, because even silence can give someone an impression that you're agreeing with them.
Maybe in their world.
Pardon me?
In their world, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I find it not pleasant to be with regular people. I just don't. I don't. And when I find someone who's just a spark of light, it's such a joy.
Right.
That's why going to things like conferences is great, because you get 1,000 people that everybody is on the same wavelength.
Right.
And that's why coming here is great, because you get everybody on the same wavelength. But when I'm out in the quote-unquote world, like biological family experiences, and the talk just doesn't stop. Really? Do you believe the world works that way?
Yeah.
Really? That's where you live and that's how you see it?
Right.
That's awful.
Right.
And then my own judgment on it has already, cost me $500.
Right. And then I don't want to be a teacher. It's not my role to teach someone else. Like.
Not unless they ask, but I figure once you're in my space, you've given me carte blanche.
That's where Christy's I do a lot of like,
Most people are living truly in a hell of their own making, and they have no idea that it is the way they see the world that is creating the world in which they see. And so they're just lost in this spiral of they did me wrong and they're terrible and this is awful and it's doom and gloom and the world's just falling apart. Most people live that way.
Yeah, and I want to shake people.
So do I. I want to do the share. I want to smack them and go, snap out of it. Maybe I need to look at that.
thank you.
Okay, so the last chapter of this little booklet kind of summarizes the whole process. And this is like a summary of both books put together. So this is a summary of the summary. He says, first, get a clear mental picture of what you want. Know what you want. That was Rocking Bear's mantra to us. What do you want? Most people know what they don't want, but they don't know what they want. So the reason that we made vision boards was to get a clear mental picture of what we wanted. And then we would have an idea to move toward. He says that if you're not in an environment which is the most suitable to you, get an idea of what you want, but fill the place that you're up with overflow. And that's true also when people say the best way to find a job is when you have a job, that you want to be in that position of working and having that energy going on instead of I don't have a job, and then the I don't have a job gets solidified in your life and you don't have a job. So you want to have that experience of, even if you're not in your end-all be-all, to fill it up with life, to bless and praise wherever you are, to see the best in it, to give it all you've got, that kind of thing, and to hold a vision of where you want to go. And some people are, well, this relationship isn't what I want, so I'm just going to leave. And in taking themselves with themselves into a new relationship, they find that they haven't gotten all the benefit from that experience that they could have had they stayed and really looked at what role they were playing, what they were getting out of it, what they could do to shift it, that kind of thing. When you are filling up your world with love, people come out of the woodwork to share love with you. So either the relationship that you're in transforms into this amazingly wonderful thing, or you end up in a different relationship. The job that you're in transforms, you get promoted, or you have a different opportunity through that business or something else, or you have an opportunity to go into business with yourself, but that is the avenue through which the transformation comes, or something completely different happens to where you leave all of that and go to something new. But you don't want to leave what you don't want and then just flounder in the consciousness that says, I don't have what I I have what I don't want, I don't have what I want, because what are you going to create? You're going to create, I don't have what I want. So it is kind of make the best of it without giving in or settling. And he says that, he says, never settle for less than the best when you can have the best. So that doesn't mean that, you know, off with everybody's head because the caviar and champagne wasn't correct. But if there is a way for you to get more of best out of something, then don't cave and say, well, I'll just take second best because that's all I'm worth, because that's what you're going to create. So hold an image of what you want, work where you are, overfill your place, fill it up with life, get yourself in alignment with your enthusiasm and your genius and your passion, and go for it, and trust that there's something inside of you that will carry you through. And just having this conversation, the energy in the room starts to lift and starts to build and starts to grow. Of course you can have what you want. How to get what you want? First of all, you can have what you want. There's a way for you to get what you want, and you're going to have to do something other than sit back and say, well, I don't have what I want, because all you do is create then that I don't have what I want. One of the things that I love about Wallace Wattles is he is a big proponent of action. And I'm a big proponent of action, taking action, treat and move your feet, do something, put the energy out into the world. Don't just sit back waiting for life to show up. I mean, some people can do it, but I haven't mastered that. I find that I need to move out into my life to get life to move into me. So when I put my energy out there, my experience transforms and shifts, and that's what I want. And then we look at it and go, oh wow, you got what you wanted. Isn't that fantastic? Well, of course I got what I wanted. It's like luck. It's not luck. Luck is opportunity and preparation meeting, and preparation is what takes all the work. You get prepared, and opportunity is going to show up sooner or later, but you're ready. You're prepared. You've done what you needed to do to be on top of things so that when that opportunity shows up, you are ready to go. And then people go, oh, it was just lucky, just fell in your lap. I'm still keeping my language very clean. No, it didn't. So he's saying that even if you don't have the money, if you're not in the right environment, you can start moving forward. And I love what he talks about in this. He says, if you want to own a department store and all you can afford is a peanut stand, don't try to own a department store. Own a peanut stand and hold the vision for the department store. This is the peanut stand section of the department store. And you're going to run it like that, and if you do that, it will grow. And as it grows, you will grow with it, and you will expand, and before you know it, you will have a department store that you started with a peanut stand. So don't look at what you got and say it's not good enough, it's not right, because he says with the right attitude, you can turn it into what's good enough and what's right. Those are my words. But I love that idea, because I've been married to people who say, it's not good enough, so we're not going to do anything. So what happened was we didn't get anything. Because we didn't do anything, because it wasn't good enough to begin with. Whereas we could have started with what we had and built on that and grown that into something that would have been very different than what happened when we just didn't do anything. So I like that mindset that says, wherever you are there by right of consciousness. Trust that there is a power and a presence within you that will carry you through to where you want to go if you keep your eye fixed on where you want to go and you are willing to take action on your own behalf to bring that into fruition. And if that's not science of mind, I don't know what is. It's not airy-fairy stuff. It's very pragmatic that if you want to run a marathon, you're going to have to start jogging. You know, you're just going to have to. That's why I don't run those marathons. Every so often we have people who do the marathon. Come on, Barbara, we'll train for a year. Like, no. No, I don't want to. So I don't hold a marathon as an ideal for what I want in life. But those who do, they have to start jogging. And they start jogging and swimming, riding bikes, doing all that stuff. And then before you know it, Devon and whoever are running the marathon in Charlotte. And it's an amazing thing if that's what you want. What I want to do is take Science of Mind out to the entire world. And so that's what I do. I record books, I find things in public domain, I get them on our website, I open that up. I gave out 300 CDs in the convention of the audio recording of the original Science of Mind textbook and the PDF file of the original textbook to people who would then take that and make copies of it and give it out to everybody in their center. So that's what I want to do, and for me that's running the marathon, and I'm willing to do what I need to do. You know, what is your hobby, Barbara Waterhouse? My hobby is recording early metaphysical books that are in public domain. Call me quirky. That's what I like to do. I like to surf the web and find some kind of books, and then the cleaning up process is extraordinary of what has to happen for it to look like this handy dandy little thing. It takes a lot of work to get them all cleaned up and formatted and readable and all of that. And then I like to give them away. That's what I like to do, and I'm willing to do the work to bring my dreams into form. If you're not willing to do the work, then you're not really wanting what you want. If you're not willing to take action on your own behalf to have what you say you want, you don't really want it. Maybe you want it. You want to sound good wanting it. But if you're not taking action, then you're blowing smoke.
Barbara, is this the entire book?
Yeah, isn't it great? It's called a booklet. It is.
Appreciate that.
So he says that make every act and thought constructive. Everyone must convey the idea of increase. He says make every interaction that you have with anyone, make them feel like they are important. Because when you just give barely enough to get by, you're constricting the flow of creation. So he's saying if you're in business and someone comes in and buys something and you give them product and they give you money and they leave, that you really haven't done anything. All you did was sell something and make a profit. But if someone comes in and you have a connection with them and you fill them up with life and you believe in them and you have love going toward them, and then they give you the money and you give them the product, something more has happened there than just a transaction. And he says when you have that kind of energy going out into your life, then things have to morph into something greater. So can you imagine having every time you see somebody have that experience of, you are fantastic, you are amazing. There was a movie that we showed when we used to show movies on Friday nights. It was called Validation, and it's a YouTube movie, it's great. And it's, people would go park the car in the parking lot and they would take their ticket to get validated. Only instead of stamping the ticket, the guy would stand there and go, you are amazing. You are such a wonderful person. You are beautiful. You are smart. You are just amazing. And then he would stamp the ticket. I mean, it was just, and it showed how that changed people's lives. That he would just stand there and he would validate them. Not validate their ticket, he'd validate them. And it was a great movie. You know, it's a little YouTube quickie movie, but it was terrific. So can you imagine what your life would be if you gave that out in everything? It would have to expand. It couldn't hold the same form because that level of form couldn't hold that much energy. He calls it that much life. It has to change into a bigger form, however that looks. So he's saying make every act and thought constructive. Everyone must convey the idea of increase. Steadily hold in mind the thought of advancement for yourself. Know that you are advancing toward what you want and act and speak in this faith. That every word and act will convey the idea of advancement and increase to others, and they will be drawn to you. Always remember that what all people are seeking is increase. Now some people are seeking increase in money. Other people are seeking increase in love. Other people are seeking increase in confidence or opportunity or excitement or enthusiasm. But everybody wants to be a part of something that is growing and increasing and expanding, because we are created out of an expanding energy. So we're drawn to it. So when you constrict, you might as well kiss your dreams goodbye. And when you expand, it's kind of like Abraham. It doesn't have to be in direct alignment to where you want to go. You just want to overfill your place anywhere. Abraham says it doesn't matter what you think about to change your state, to have a different feeling, a better feeling thought. It doesn't matter what thought you pick as long as it makes you feel better. It doesn't matter whether or not you're moving from your peanut stand to your department store. What you want to do is you want to fill every moment of your life with expansion. And you want to have that connection with everybody so that you are infusing them with something that's more than just the numb-mindedness of their usual life. And really what you're kind of doing is waking them up. You're waking people up by saying, I see you, I acknowledge you, I love you, life is great and wonderful, have a terrific day. And then they go out into the world and you're expanded from that because you didn't constrict. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I love this. You must make every act a success, so whatever you do it successfully or don't do it. We talked about that a lot a few weeks ago. If you can't do it well, don't do it. God knows, I wish I had known that. It's like, if you can't do this relationship well, please don't do it. If you can't do this job well, don't do it. If you're just going to screw it up, then it's better that you stay in bed today than just go mess up your life. Pick one thing and do it well every day. That's all you need to have a successful life. Because then everything that you do is a success. Everything, instead of doing a lot of things haphazardly. He says, also remember that your actions will not have dynamic moving power unless you have an unwavering faith that you get what you want. An unwavering faith. How to get what you want? Believe that you can have what you want, that you get what you want, that it's inside of you, that no one can take away what you want, that you're not dependent upon outer circumstances, that you are the cause to your effect. And yes, of course, you get what you want. It doesn't matter if you can't see it right now. There is a path to getting what you want. You're going to get what you want. And I know that's futuring and has a time element to it, but it's Wallace, so we'll give him a little slack. But if you hold that and you move toward that every day, you're going to get what you want. It's amazing. We're creating our experiences, creating our reality. I have not found that things happen for me in an instantaneously miraculous way. They tend to have process. Something has a time element to it, but then I get what I want. The path that my life has taken from not knowing that I can have what I want to knowing and believing and having an unwavering faith that I do get what I want and being willing to take whatever action I need to move toward that, it's huge. To go from where I was to where I am now is nothing short of miraculous, even though it didn't happen instantaneously. And I think that we get a lot of value from the journey. We get to test our mettle, and we get to find out what we're made of, and we get to depend on ourselves and really reach inside of ourselves and find something that we don't have when it's just an instantaneous, miraculous change. And I think that serves us in the long run to be tried and what is the phrase? Tested and found wanting? No, not found wanting, found good.
Worthy.
Found good. Form a clear mental picture of what you want. Hold the purpose to get it. Do everything perfectly, not in a servile spirit, that's dumb Dora doormat, but because you are a mastermind. Keep unwavering faith in your ultimate attainment of your goal, and you cannot fail to move forward. And if you move forward, you will get what you want as long as you don't sabotage yourself. And if you start to sabotage yourself, pull it all out into the light of day. And look at yourself. What is it that I think about myself that won't let me have what I want? Is it real? Is it valid? Do I need to do some forgiveness work on myself? Do I need to do some forgiveness work on other people? Let it go. Cut the ties to the path and move forward. And have the life you want. I love Wallace Wattles. He's just simple to me. He's clear. He lays out an argument. He takes you along that path until you end up being great, getting rich, and having what you want. What could be better than that?
No.
Questions, comments? What, Judith?
Nothing could be
Nothing
better
could be
than
better than that. So, what did you get out of the last couple of months? We had the signs of getting rich, the signs of being great, and getting what you want. And how to get what you want. Morgan.
The power that exists within me.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Good, good, good. Linda.
Keeping your eye on the prize.
Keeping your eye on the prize, right. Right, thank you. Judith.
How to shift your focus.
How to shift your focus. Wonderful.
And always coming back to overflow your space.
Always coming back to overflowing your space. You cannot be a stingy metaphysician. It doesn't work.
Starting where I'm at.
Starting where you're at, right, right. And these, you know, these are not just beginner concepts. I was talking to a minister who was explaining to me her rationale for what ended up lying to a judge. And she had a whole story about why this really was true, but except that it wasn't. And I looked at her and I said, hey, haven't you learned by now that you cannot lie? You are dealing with law. You cannot lie. You are going to lose everything if you continue on this path of lying. And you're going to lie in a court of law to a judge? What are you, out of your mind? So I'm thinking, here's someone who's, you know, been doing this for a long time and still thinks it's okay to lie. It's a good thing for us to get, that we have to be clear, we have to be in integrity, we have to value our word because our word has power, and we have to give and be generous and overfill our space and set the law in motion and watch it show up. You know, and everybody's on their perfect and right path. Perhaps her journey on this will be a wonderful learning experience for her in jail.
I have a question. You know, we were talking a little bit before the break about, you know, one of the things, because we're still relatively new, and this is all so awe-inspiring and listening and you know, taking your power back. How do you deal with family and friends that you really, really love and care about who are constantly in that struggle? And, you know, it's like you can't just, you know, mail them a CD and say, read this, because I've done that, it didn't work. It's like you really want to help them in their...
Do they want to be helped?
Well, most people do, but they just don't know that they're doing it to themselves.
So you can ask them that. Do you want to be helped?
So just start with page 1 and say...
No, I would say, do you want to be helped? Do you want to be helped? Do you want my opinion? Do you want my feedback? If not, then I have great faith that you'll figure it out. And butt out.
Sometimes it's really hard to watch people struggle.
It's
It's
like
like they don't have a clue.
There's a story about an emperor moth that someone was, you know how people grow caterpillars and then they turn into butterflies, and you can do that in like a little aquarium or terrarium. There was an emperor moth, and it was really struggling to come out of the cocoon. And the person very kind-heartedly took a little pair of scissors and snipped the cocoon so that it could come out. But when it came out, it had no wings, it had very deformed wings, and the body was way too big, because the process of squeezing out through that little hole pushed the fluid into the wings. And so you can look at it and say it feels bad to watch them struggle, or you can say, way to go, you're going to be a moth. You know, you can be an emperor moth. And all of this struggle is putting things in their right place for you, for your process that you've created for yourself, so that you can have the experience of your true nature. It's all in your head. Troy.
In my head, or I should
Your
tell them
head.
that?
No, well, I think before you go out and try to help other people, no matter who they are, you have to help yourself.
Of course you do. And then you don't really care that much about them.
You want to slap them on it too.
Well, no, you're not as caught up in the rescuer part. You can see them more objectively, is what I meant by not care. It's that you can see them and support them and love them, but not feel like you have to rescue them, because you've worked on yourself and you have a boundary.
Well, when you get into a spiritual path, and I'm rather obsessive, I guess, so I really get into things. It consumes me. It takes me to that place. Well, when you do that, you find yourself isolating those people outside of that mindset that just can't get it, or that doesn't want to get it, or whatever it is. So this room, we bond with our brothers and sisters. We find our own, we find our tribe eventually. We seek our tribe. And we try to help ourselves. And when the light is shining in our hearts, our energy will help those around us.
Sure.
But if you're going to give them charity, or you should do this, or you should do that, well, they're going to say, hey man, you're a religious freak, or you're, you keep your philosophy, and I'll live my life.
Right. That's why I said the first thing would be to ask.
Yeah.
Do you want help?
Yeah. You can't push it.
Of course not. It's not any of your business. It comes from a sense of judgment that says they're not okay, and that they need to be fixed, which is just a symbol of how untogether we are if we're coming from that.
When we're one with the universe, people will be coming to us to ask what the secret is.
Right, right. Or just want to sit at your feet.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But whenever you look at someone as broken or wrong or bad and that you need to fix them, you're in trouble. Drew.
I approach it, I mean, I have so many very friends, but I look at it as they're not broken. But I approach them as, look, hey, I'm following this awesome spiritual path, and it's really working for me. Well, what are you doing? Well, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. And I just figured I'd share.
Right, that's the same thing as asking, do you want help? You're getting their buy-in, you're not talking at them. Yeah. Then it's a conversation. Sandy.
And one thing that it took me a long time, and I still work on it every single day, is if they don't want to be helped, I'm okay with that.
Well, there's nothing wrong that they need to be helped with.
Right, right. If you want to share with them and they're not receptive, you've got to find a way for that to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Because they're on their perfect and right path.
Yes.
What, God is in everything and everyone except them? That's absurd.
No, yes.
They're on their perfect and right path. If I could look back and see some of the things that I went through, it would look like I was broken, but I wasn't. I was finding myself, and that's the path I chose to find myself.
Make it our way.
Mm-hmm. It's like alcohol and drugs. Ernest says it's just looking for greater life. Any addiction, and yet you look at someone and you go, oh, you're terrible because you're a drug addict, you're an alcoholic. You're just looking, you haven't found it yet. That's all. When you find it, you'll go with the thing that works the best. Otherwise, we'd be having workshops on the best drug to find God, and I'd be at the top of the list teaching it. It just doesn't work. So whenever you look at anybody, you're homeless. Neil Donald Walsh was homeless.
Yes.
Eckhart Tolle was homeless. How can we say that being homeless is bad? It's brought forth some wonderful things. Like maybe some people would say Jesus was homeless. So you can't look at people as if they're broken or bad or something's wrong with them. You've got to look at everybody like they're powerful beings creating their reality on their perfect and right place, and they have everything that they need, period. Amanda.
And everybody
hears this and learns it when they're ready.
Right.
I had a friend that believed a lot of the same things that I did. We both got divorced at the same time, and I just had like this whole rush of things that I learned and was so excited about it, and I would just like spewed it all on her, and it was too much for her. But it, over time, like 2-3 years, it would come to her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you told me that back then," and then she would get it. So
it's so tempting to be superior. And the way that we are superior is by making other people inferior. And we do that with our judgment. And it can come up in myriad ways. Oh, that poor person's sick, that poor person doesn't have any money, that poor person had bad experiences, and it's all the same game. We're all the same. Did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I had one other thing. I've been working at Sierra Nevada this week, and I had working with a group of people, and I have to do everything as fast as possible and figure out the best way to do it, and apparently not everybody does that. And so I found myself getting angry at this person that I have been calling the slacker, and he didn't come back today, but I opened up to where I was in the books. I think it was like chapter 12 or 13, and it was a part where Wallace is saying that it's all perfect and everybody is doing what they need to be doing.
We are a God among gods. Everybody is perfect. And, I would just offer you to look at the slacker within and see how
I was getting angry at myself because I was getting so mad at him. This is not, no, I don't want to do
Embrace
this.
your inner slacker and let it be okay. Anything else?
It's so funny. Oh, I got a question.
Betty.
Can you give us a little idea what this is all about?
No. It's bullets. It's not paragraphs. I love it. Oh, yeah, bullets. It's just this idea, this idea, this idea, this idea, this idea. I love it.
Well, I just never heard it authorized by
I noticed that it's only down for 2 weeks here. Is it a 2-week class or what?
No, then I'm going to the beach. What date is that? What date is that? 22nd?
Maybe it's the 21st.
So on March the 21st, there won't be any class because I'll be at the beach.
Okay. Fishing, right?
Hopefully, depends on the weather.
March 21st, no class?
No class on March 21st. Anything else?
How long is my class
No. I just feel like we ought to do them until we're done.
Yeah, that's cool.
There have been classes that I tried to stretch out because it was on the calendar, and other classes that I tried to cram in because it was on the calendar. And Barbara Waterhouse, I don't let a calendar tell me what to do. It'll be over when it's over. So take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hand. And I move into a state of gratitude for all the greats. The Wallace, the Charles Hannell, the Emma Curtis Hopkins, the Annie Ritz-Mollitz, the Ernest Holmes, all of the great teachers that told us to wake up. And in that state of gratitude, I know that we are awake. And so we give this gift out of that fullness, out of that knowing of who we are, knowing that we are truly rich. We are great, and we do get what we want. We give this gift today, knowing that it goes to make this Center for Spiritual Living Asheville all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace and a beacon of light, a tower of strength and a fountain of wisdom, It touches our lives and the lives of all who call it home. And so it is.
Oh, here.
Okay.
Here, take these.
I'm gonna turn it off. And it's,
Thank you.
thank you, April. I know as we give, we receive. And we have given into the universe. And life takes that which we give it, multiplies it, and gives it right back. I know that we are open and receptive to all that life gives to us, that we are truly blessed. I know that that energy of our giving has blessed us, blessed this center, and blessed everyone involved in this class. I am deeply grateful for all of the ahas and all of the awakenings and all that we get to share in this center home. And so it is.
So it is.
I love you guys. Have a wonderful week.